Hello, ladies. This is Leslie Tavernier, Dark Feminine Love Coach for Dark Feminine Women. I support women who are anxiously attached to an avoidant man, and I help them to have a secure relationship with their avoidant man. And so today I have with me my quote unquote avoidant man, and we're going to be talking about how to better understand your avoidant man. This particular relationship dynamic is the most misunderstood dynamic there is, as far as I'm concerned. Most people don't know that there's more than one kind of masculine feminine polarity. This is a particular expression of masculine feminine polarity that a lot of people do not understand. And so we're going to help you to understand that. We're going to demystify it for you. We're going to answer a lot of questions. And before we get into it, Rakem Sekou, can you please introduce yourself to my listeners?
Yes, my name is Rakim Sekou. That's my spiritual name. I also go by Carl E. Stevens Jr. I'm a metaphysician, relationship coach, guru in a number of areas when it comes to metaphysics, and been teaching at a school that I co-founded with my wife, Kenya Kay, called the Mystery School and Progressive Love Academy, and author of many books and been on television, all that kind of stuff. So that's who I am.
Beautiful. So I want to get right into the metaphysics. So I recall, I don't know if I heard you say it or I read it in one of your books, where with your system of 9 archetypes, 3 feminine, 3 masculine, 3 androgynous, I believe that you classify some of those archetypes as avoidant, some as anxious, and some as I can't remember. Is that true, or am I remembering incorrectly?
Yeah, three of the archetypes are avoidant.
Mm-hmm.
Three of the archetypes are apathetic, what I call
Oh,
apathetic, and three
okay.
of the archetypes are addictive.
Addictive. Okay, so how do you define, in your metaphysical system, how do you define avoidance, apatheticism, or whatever, and addiction? How do you define that?
Yeah, avoidant means essentially that you're very quick to get into a relationship, and you, after a time, you begin to have the desire to get into another different relationship, a different situation.
Mhm.
And so you'll tend to do things that cause you to not be present with the person you're with. Your feelings might change for them, et cetera, et cetera. So you begin to do things that kind of push you away. The addictive behavior is the opposite, where it takes you a while to get into the relationship.
Mm,
So you're slow to enter, but once you enter, you're in strong. So you're
mm,
all the way in, you're all the way committed, and it's very hard for you to get yourself out of that situation. The reason
mhm,
why is because people who tend to be avoidant, once they've committed mentally and emotionally to somebody, it's hard to break that bond for them.
mhm.
Also, oftentimes, addictive people are relating based on, a pattern or a childhood trauma or something like that. And so those are very difficult as well. Apathetic tends to be where you just don't have a particular need for the person that you're with. So you enjoy being with them. The relationship can go through all kinds of ups and downs when it comes to intensity,
Mhm.
but it's something that you can kind of take it or leave it in many cases. You don't have any kind of weird behavior associated with needing to be with somebody and that kind of thing. So the difference between the avoidant and the addict is they both have a need and desire for each other. So
Okay.
they're always creating situations where they can get into relationships because they have that need.
So in your system, I know that you refer to the this type of relationship dynamic as the womb choice. So the feminine is womb choosing the masculine. The the conservationist feminine archetype is choosing the masculine soldier archetype in your system. So how do you classify the soldier? Is he in your system an avoidant or apathetic?
He's an avoidant.
He's an
So
avoidant. Okay. And what about the conservationist?
she's an addict.
She's an addict. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So we're clear. Okay. So I asked my clients if they had any questions for you. And so one of them did give me a question that she wants you to answer. And this is something that I know a lot of women are struggling with. So this particular client, she has been with her dark masculine man for 10 years now. They live together. They're not together all the time because he travels a lot and this and that, but they also have a 7-year-old daughter. So they are very much committed. This isn't a situationship. However, she would like to be intimate with other people, and he's absolutely opposed to that. And so her question is, I would like you to ask him for tips on how to ease my dark masculine man into this idea of letting me be more open with the community in a way that he feels secure and happy about me receiving attention from other men and women. So mind you, this woman has a lot of lover energy. She's very magnetic. She's not even trying, and men want to be with her, and they're just giving her money. And so she's highly sexual. She would like to be with other people, but her dark masculine man, even though he's cheating on her with other women, he absolutely does not want her to be with anyone else. So how can she, because I know I've asked you about this in a previous call and you said women should just call their bluff, but in some cases that's just not, that's not enough. Like they need something a little bit more substantial than that. So what would be your advice to her for how to introduce the idea of an open relationship?
Well, again, if she wants an open relationship and her guy is against it, he's against it because, he has fears or concerns or jealousies or insecurities or whatever it might be, right? And so, she just needs to have understanding about that and empathy for him. Understand his little child is, wants to own her and possess her while he goes and does what he wants to do.
Mhm.
So just their setup, the fact that he wants to possess her
Mhm.
and he wants to be with other women, like that shows you there's an imbalance. There's
Mhm.
a lack of maturity there with him, a lack of understanding, a lack of real compassion for her. So
Mhm.
it's just when you look at it plainly, it's completely and totally imbalanced. Even
Mhm.
though there are a lot of men who would agree like that's the way things should be.
Totally.
And of
Totally.
course men would agree with that, right?
Mhm.
Just like slavery, right? They're the people who are enslaved disagree, and the people who are the enslavers agree. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So yeah, we understand when you have the advantage and you're getting the benefit of something, you want to keep that benefit, you want to keep that advantage. We get that. But
Mhm.
that's an immature way to look at life, right? And so that the first thing is she needs to understand, well, this is an imbalance,
Yeah.
okay? And that this is a little boy
Mhm.
who is, throwing a fit and wanting his way and not in his maturity and intelligence and understanding that everybody should be, equal and have the freedom to express themselves while still having the right to be loved, etc. So the first step is to understand the situation. The second step is to show empathy and compassion,
Mhm.
for him. And then the third step is to let him know, well, this is how I'm going to live my life. This is what it's going to be. And she can slowly move into, being herself, slowly move into relating the way she wants to relate. And, she has to understand that he's going to throw a fit.
Mhm.
That's what children do. They throw fits, they throw tantrums, all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
well, what if he threatens to break up?
Well, again, so this is what it's about. So, um, freedom is not free. Okay, so it's not like everybody wants everything to be like super easy. Like, yeah, let me go do my thing, and everybody on the whole planet just agrees with me, right?
Mhm.
And I don't have to have any courage. I don't have to have any conviction. I don't have to go through any fires or anything in order to live the life I want to live. That's a
Mhm.
big issue that a lot of people have, especially women in this case. And so, no, yeah, he might break up with you. You know what I'm saying? I
Oh
mean,
boy.
the point is, what do you want? Do you want to be authentic and live your authentic life, or do you want to be with him? If you want to be with him, then just drop the authenticity part of what you're looking for and just be with him and
Mhm.
accept that you're going to have that level of unhappiness around the fact you can't express yourself and just move on with your life. But
Mhm.
my message is for those who want to be their authentic selves, who want to be inside their freedom, who want to be inside their, authentic expression, their organic expression. I'm talking to those particular people. And those people need to understand, especially those who've already walked this path, they know this, you are going to lose people along the way. That's
Mhm.
just the nature of life. And so this is like really a test for her to see, what's really more important to her? Is her native and natal personality and her core soul desires more important to her, or is pleasing this man and keeping this man more important to her? And she has to make that decision. But I don't see what the issue is. Like that's just what life is. You have to make a choice. You got to make a decision. You can't be scared.
Mm.
Now, all that's being said, he might break up with her. He might leave her. You know, what I was telling women earlier is that he's going to come back.
Mm.
So just make sure you leave the door open. You understand? That's what little children do, right? They take their
Mm.
ball and they go home. So he'll
Okay.
break up with her, he'll leave her, whatever, and start texting her. As a matter of fact, I just talked with one of my girlfriends about this recently a few weeks ago. And one of her guys was like, he was, jealous and, insecure and upset about the fact she was spending so much time with me. And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to explain to her, like, don't worry, he'll be back.
Mm.
So we kind of broke up with her or whatever. And then like soon after, like text her, like, I still want to see you. Like, yeah, like let him have his tantrum, let him throw his fit, right? He wants to be the one that you spend the most time with. He wants to be number one. He wants to be special. So that's that little boy inside of him, and he's going to throw a fit. And then he'll come back around because, wow, you hold value in his life.
Mm.
So as a woman, you also have to have confidence in who you are. If you're somebody who's actually adding value to his life and you're somebody who actually loves him and respects him and all that kind of stuff, then you become an invaluable resource to that man. And he's
Mm.
always going to want to be with you, even if it's going to be hard for him to adjust to certain aspects of who you are.
Yeah.
So, this is a journey. This is a initiation. A lot of women are trying to go through. It's a new age. We talk about freedom in our school and we try to teach women to be in their power, but this is a part of it. It's not like, oh, he automatically just stays with me and is happy with me no matter what I do. No, you got to be able to step into your courage as a woman, step into your authenticity and do what feels authentic to you. And then allow those people who vibrate and align with that to come on their own free will.
So a follow-up question that she has to that is, how do I navigate him into wanting to be open to reading your book, The 9 Expressions of Love, which I have all my clients read? How can she invite him to read that book and listen to some of the podcasts with you in Kenya that I've shared with her? Like, she would like to introduce these concepts to him. Like, what kind of wording can she use?
Yeah, I think the best thing she can do is say, hey, let's go on a growth and spiritual journey and awakening together. Like, let's, I really want us to grow closer together. I want us to increase our intimacy together. I want us to, have a deeper soul connection. And the way I want us to do that is by, studying certain things, like reading certain books together and talking about it, discussing it, trying to implement the things in those books that we feel are really positive, listening to podcasts, following certain teachers, et cetera, et cetera. And, I feel if she does that with him, so if she makes it a we thing, then I think he'll eventually be more open to it. And she'll have to understand, like, this is her thing. Like she's got to take accountability and responsibility for being the spiritual leader of the family and guiding the both of them through this journey for the sake and purpose of bringing them closer together and helping him open up and be open to an open lifestyle.
Okay, wow, thank you. Okay, so another thing that I hear women say frequently, on my page or even the clients of mine, when I challenge them to take responsibility for their desires. So a lot of women, they want a committed relationship with their dark masculine man, or they want marriage, or whatever it is that they want. I challenge them to take responsibility and make the changes within themselves, externally and internally, that they would need to make in order to manifest their desired reality. But a lot of women, what they then do is they say, well, why should I have to do all the work? Why doesn't he do any work? Why should he just get to continue to just do whatever the heck he's doing? And I have to keep working and working and working on myself. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. How do you respond to that, Rakim?
Yeah, that's her little girl speaking.
Mm.
So when you're in an immature state, you want other people to do the work.
Mhm.
Like I think I mentioned this on your last podcast. There's that song, Waiting on the World to Change, right?
Mhm.
So when you're in your immature and, your child's coming through and your child's pitching a fit and pouting, you're like, hey, I want this person to change. I want that person to change. I want them to do the work with me. I want this and that. And you're really like focused outside yourself. But the reality of life is that whatever you want for yourself, you're responsible and accountable for doing the work for it. So
Mhm.
again, the little child wants the other person to do all the work to make it easier for you. But as you grow into your maturity, as you become an adult, you realize it's going to be my responsibility. Why? Because I want the thing.
Mm.
I request the thing. I want him to be with me. I want to be married. I. Whenever
Yeah.
you put an I statement in front of something you're doing, that means you must do the work 100% solely and completely. Would it
Mm.
be great if he does the work with you? Absolutely. Would it be great if he supported you? Absolutely. Would it be great if he had a spiritual catharsis and an awakening? Absolutely. But that's a bonus, right?
Mm.
The responsibility is solely on you. Whenever you say I want this or I desire that, then you become 100% responsible and accountable for that thing, and you must do the work to make it happen. So again,
Mm.
I understand where people are coming from. We're all like that as human beings. We want the world to change to make things easier for us. We want our mates to change to make the relationship easier for us. Like, I get that. That's a part of, like I said, the immature aspect of who we are. But as you grow into adulthood, as you become mature, as you realize who you are as a God and God as being, you understand and embrace the fact that you need to do the work and that you wouldn't want it any other way,
Mm.
because you want to be able to manifest your life based on the work that you do, based on your intention. You don't want your life being affected by somebody else's choices and decisions. And what I
Mm.
try to teach the women in the goddess classes and the queendom classes is you don't need your man to sign off on anything you want with him or the relationship. If you're willing to do the work around it, if you tap into your power, when you realize who you are as a goddess being, then you can begin to shift your reality, which includes him.
Mm.
Uh, but until you come into that higher awareness of who you are, you're going to want him to make the change.
Yeah.
And that's just an immature aspect of our spiritual journey.
Okay, great. I love that answer. So the next question is, and this is, I think every client I've ever had is wondering this. Why are these avoidant men so bad at communication? Why don't they ever or hardly ever initiate contact? Or why is it that they take forever to respond? Why is it that when they do respond, they just respond with an emoji or just one word? Like, why are they so bad at having real conversations?
Well, if it's a wound choice situation in a dark masculine situation, those men in general are not good communicators.
Mhm.
So again, the mistake a lot of the women are making are assuming that he's a great communicator in every other area of his life, but just not with me, right?
Mm.
So one of the things that attracts these women to these particular men is how they are and their stature and how they move and their sexual prowess and all those things.
Mhm.
Well, the men have those positive characteristics, but the negative characteristics include communication. So they're
Mhm.
not good communicators in general. Now, why is that? Because they don't have to communicate. These are men who the women come to them. Okay,
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
used to women coming to them, initiating communication, initiating contact, chasing them, wanting them to be with them, wanting them to marry them, all these kinds of things. So these men are accustomed to that. That's why the women are attracted to them, because
Mhm.
they walk with that kind of confidence, that kind of edge about them, where they just know that they are all that.
Mhm.
And as a result of being all that, they don't feel they have to do the extra stuff. No, it's usually the other men who are not getting women, right? Who are like communicating every day, all
Mhm.
day. Good morning,
Yeah.
queen. What can I do for you? Can I send you a cat? Can I do this? Can I do that? Hi, like, yeah, those men have to do that
Yeah.
because the women aren't thinking about them. They've got to go the extra mile. If I have 20 women who are constantly trying to be with me at any one particular time, why would I be trying to communicate with them? I've
Mhm.
already made the statement in terms of how I present myself and how I move in the world about who I am. Yes, I expect you to come to me. I expect you to initiate communication. Okay. Now, I'm not saying the men are right in that, right? When
Mhm.
you're in a relationship and it's a committed situation, you understand the feminine, then you understand I should be doing some level of communication that really helps her feel secure in the relationship and offers reassurance and creates intimacy when we're not together. So I'm not
Mhm.
saying the men should not do that, but these men are not accustomed to doing that. They've never had to do that, and they don't do it in any area of their life.
Mhm. Beautiful. Amazing. Another thing that women like to say is that these men are siphoning energy from them. So I've had clients who say, I think he's taking energy from me. I think he's draining me because I feel miserable in this relationship because basically he's not doing what she wants him to do. And so she will say he's siphoning, he I've had a client say like he's succeeding in his life, he's doing well in his business, whatever, but like I feel like shit, I'm falling apart. Like I'm gaining weight. Like, what do you have to say about this idea that these men are siphoning energy from women?
Well, these men, they're getting what they want,
Hmm.
at least partly. They're not getting everything that they want. Because if that was the case, then women wouldn't be complaining and blowing their phones up and stuff like that. So they're not getting like peace and respect and love from the women, but
Hmm.
they're getting like sexual energy.
Yeah.
So that is true that they're getting that energy. Are they siphoning energy? No. You
Hmm.
know, these women want their time. These
Yeah.
women want sex with them. They want their energy, right?
Yeah.
And so the man comes in and gives that to her, right? So she's actually receiving his presence, receiving his energy, receiving what he's given to her sexually, right?
Mhm.
And then he's moving on and going to do something else. The issue is because she's not inside of her power, then she becomes anxious and she becomes stressed out and she's, in her insecurities and her fears and all that. And that's what's siphoning her energy.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not that the man's taking energy from you. No, you're not in your power. When
Mm.
you live inside fear, when you live inside disappointment, when you live inside depression, you're going to lower your energy count. Those particular emotions and the lack mentality and the
Mm.
lack of confidence mentality, that zaps your energy.
Yeah.
So that's what the women are experiencing. Again, if they're claiming the men are siphoning energy, again, that's that immature little girl within them.
Mm.
They're very young in their spiritual journey, not really willing to take responsibility for their lives and recognize who they are as goddesses and queens and like step into that power. They're still trying to point outside of themselves for the reason they feel the way they feel, or the reason why they don't have certain things that they want. So that's where these women are. But no, the men are not siphoning energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an equal exchange. And if she feels he is siphoning energy, if she really believes that, then you should cut him off.
Mhm.
And the fact that she won't be able to do that indicates that it's not him siphoning.
Mm.
It's a mutual exchange, but she is not inside her power within an exchange.
So that brings me to my next question that a lot of women are struggling with is the women want to have sex. And in many cases they tell the dark masculine man, look, I want to have sex. I even had a client who went to stay with her dark masculine man. He let her come and stay in his house for, I think it's like going to be 2 months that she's going to stay with him. And she assumed that they were going to have sex all day, every day. And so the first 2 days they did have sex, and she says it was really great. And then by the third day, he said to her, I want to stay in another bedroom. I don't want to be in the same bedroom with you. And it's been like a week and a half now, and like he's not interested in sex. And so, like, a lot of women are confused. They're like, I don't understand. Like, I want to have sex with him. I'm ready to have sex with him. I'm eager to have sex with him. Like, why won't he fuck me? What is the problem? What's your explanation, Rakim?
Yeah, there's probably a few things with that. Number one, those relationships require polarity.
Hmm.
Polarity does not occur when people are in the same space for an extended period of time, right? So I'm not saying like 2 days or a week is an extended period of time, but it's the polarity is better when you're apart and then you come together, right?
Hmm.
So he's not used to her being in this space like that.
Yeah.
So it affects how he feels about her. It affects the magnetism.
Mm.
Number two, yeah, she's probably like has a very needy energy for him,
Mm.
and that's taxing. That on his part, that feels like siphoning. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like he's probably like, well, just calm down, relax. Like just like I'm here. Like stop with the needy wanting to be up under me every second of the day or whatever it might be. So he's creating space. He's
Yeah.
being authentic. He's being real. Like, look, I need to be in a different room because being with you does not feel good to me.
Mm.
So he's trying to create space. He's trying to create separation. And what that's saying to me is that she's not really feeding him. And
Mm.
again, and when I say feeding him, I mean energetically and emotionally and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So one of the issues with the dark masculine dichotomy, and this happens with wound choice as well, is
Mhm.
that these women don't know how to maintain their men. They're
Mm.
usually in a take kind of posture. Like
Okay.
fuck me every day, fuck me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they're
Yeah.
just in that posture, right? But what are you actually giving back to him? It's not sex. And again, I'm not saying that sex is not a benefit to him because it is, but he can get that from a whole lot of women. There are a lot of women who want to, you know, have sex with him and offer him that. You see what I'm saying? So that's not a unique thing you're offering him. So the fact that you're not doing anything to take care of him and to build his energy up and to really make him feel good and to make him want to be around you and that kind of stuff, that's an issue. She should be doing things for him and with him in the house that really nurtures him and helps to raise his energy, helps him feel connected to her, helps improve the level of intimacy between the two of them. She's not, it doesn't sound like she's doing that. Because if she was doing that, then he would want to be around her all the time. You see what I'm saying? If she's doing things that energize him, that help him feel better, that, you know what I'm saying? Like he would want to be around her all the time. A lot of women have a hard time getting into that giving, nurturing posture where they become an asset to the man. They think that sex is always required. And when you're talking to a man who's experienced sexually, who has a lot of options when it comes to sex, sex is not an asset like that. Or at least it's not like a super valuable one because, you know, we have an abundance of that's being offered that to us every single day. She's got to do more. She's not doing enough. She's just.
Well, here's the thing though, Raquel, because I've had clients where the dark masculine man, he's not polyamorous. He's actually monogamous from the looks of it. But some of these men are workaholics. You know, they are addicted to their career, their job, or whatever. And so from the woman's standpoint, you know, she's like, look, I want to make love to him and I love him and I'm willing to be good to him and support him and care for him, but all he seems to care about is his career.
Yeah, and what's the issue with that? I mean,
She wants sex. He's not giving it to her.
Well, he has other focuses. Again, he's not in a place where he needs her like that. His priority is his work. His priority is his passion. So again, that's very attractive to a lot of people when you find somebody who's in their passion, like they're really into their thing, they're really focused. You see what I'm saying? Like that's attractive. And a lot of folks want a piece of that energy. But those people don't have time to just be laying up under somebody or having sex every single day. No, they're pouring their energy into the thing that's really, you know, fulfilling them on a soul level. For some people, that's entrepreneurialism or their work or their mission or whatever it might be. But, you know, again, that's that immature feminine again. I mean, she has to understand, like, this is a man. You are not the center of his world. You see what I'm saying? So you should be the center of your own world and make sure that your life is full and complete as well. And that it's not, that everything's not centering around him. He has a focus, a primary focus that is very important to him, that, you know, on a soul level, you know, ignites the passion within him. And that's what he'll be spending his time on. And you need to get him where you fit in or find another man who's going to spend the kind of time you like to spend.
Wow. Okay. Now, another thing too, Rakim, is that a lot of women, even though they say the sex is amazing, when I really like drill down and I question them intently, I find out that they're not having vaginal orgasms. They've never had a G-spot orgasm. They never had a cervical orgasm. They've never squirted. And so in their mind, they're thinking, oh yeah, I'm offering him my pussy. Like he should just take it. But like when you really look at the quality of the sex, it's actually not that great. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know?
It's great. It's they're having the time of their life based on what they know and understand. Right. So to them, this is great. But a lot of these women are not actually experienced sexually.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier how a lot of these women don't give back to the man. Because they think that sex is all that it needs to show up for. But they're not really that skilled sexually. They don't understand how to really please him sexually and nurture him sexually and take care of him sexually. And that just, you know, it just decreases their value in his eyes. Number two, like I said, these women are not really experienced sexually, and what they think is great in terms of their, you know, their orgasmic potential is really not. So in other words, these men are having sex with women who are having like 20, 30, 40 orgasms, full body, you know, vaginal, you know, the whole nine.
Mhm.
They're having orgasms when they give the man head.
Mhm.
They're having orgasms when the man sucks their breasts. Like just open orgasmic women. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of women don't understand like what's out there when it comes to other women and what these men have experienced, and they incorrectly assess their sexual value to him.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not that he doesn't appreciate their sexual connection. I'm sure he does, and I'm sure he loves her and all those things. But yeah, they're not really. These are not all the time skilled women sexually,
Yeah.
and because of that, they they're not really aware that compared to other experiences that he's had or could have, she's
Mhm.
not really high up on the list.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, from my perspective and my experience, I find that like women have a lot of resistance to their dark masculine man. So on the one hand, they're saying they really love him, they want to be with him, they want to marry him, this and that. But then on the other hand, they hate his guts. They really resent him. They feel like he's victimized them. And so they go back and forth between the love and hate, the love, and so it's like it's not like a clear, pure energy that they're bringing because they go back and forth, which is the anxiety. And that is also affecting their sexual responsiveness and receptivity to him. And that's why I encourage women to really practice TARA, trust, appreciation, respect, and acceptance of him as he is right now. Not so that he can get away with whatever, not so that he doesn't have to do any work, but because TARA, I say this to my clients all the time, it's not a mental thing. It changes your physiology. When you really actually trust him, when you really actually appreciate him, when you really actually respect him, when you really actually accept him as he is, as a polyamorous man, as a workaholic, as an alcoholic, as a drug addict, as a whatever, when you really actually accept him as he is, that translates in the bedroom. That translates in how you respond to him in terms of how orgasmic you are, because you genuinely love him and you're not doing that love hate back and forth kind of bullshit. Does that make sense to you, Rakim?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't, in most cases, these women don't actually love these men.
Mm.
I know they like to tell themselves that, or they like to preach that, but that's not what it is, because we don't see these women accepting these men for who they are and how they move.
Mhm.
They always have issues. They're always complaining about something or about what he's doing or not doing. I mean, just admit you don't love him. Like, you're infatuated by him. You're sexually activated by him. You want him. You want to marry him. You want him, all those things, but that's not what love is.
Mm.
So yeah, and oftentimes these women just don't love these men in that way. They're just, you know, very much into him and very desirous of him, and feel really good during sex and those things. But those are not love. If you don't have appreciation and respect and all those things, you don't love this person. And so the men know this. That's what the women
Mm.
don't understand either. Is the men can feel that there's a lack of love there, and they're just like, I'm not going to invest too much in this particular person because I'm not feeling the love. And again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. She's not doing the other things in the relationship to
Mm.
really, you know, uplift him and nurture him and do all those things. So it's just very plain to see from the men's standpoint that, she's got some kind of weird infatuation with me, but it's not actually pure love.
Yeah. When you say that the men can feel the resistance, the lack of real love. I just want you to say more about that because whenever I try to explain this to my clients, that the men can actually feel you energetically, a lot of them have a hard time believing that because they think that, well, he's emotionally unavailable, he's not very communicative. So what do you mean he can feel me? He can feel my energy. Like they have a hard time grasping that. So can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, basically feminine energy, when love is involved, it pulls you in.
Mm.
So, if a woman really loves me, right? Then and and that's like her true feeling towards me, I'm going to be drawn to her.
Mm.
Like, there's not going to be any resistance in terms of me getting to her and getting close to her and getting to know her and being intimate and being close and communicating and all that kind of stuff. It's a natural thing. Like, a lot of women not understand this whole thing. We're talking about feminine energy. Feminine energy is an actual energy. Energy
Mm.
actually moves things in the environment, right?
Mm.
So when you're in your feminine, you're pulling things to you. You're attracting men to you. You're bringing them to you, right? So when the man is not able to even get to you because your energy is not pulling him towards you, or again, you're kind of in this immature complaining and your behavior is not inviting, et cetera, et cetera. You know, you we we can't get to you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
let me ask you, Rakim. So if a woman is in a situation where like she's really longing for him to come and have sex with her,
yeah.
she's really missing him. She really wants to be with him. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, I really desire him. Like, what else do I need to do? What do you say to that?
Well, no, I think it's great. She desires them.
Mhm.
So yeah, you desire something, just like I desire a pizza tonight, or you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I really want this thing. I really want it. That doesn't mean that that's love,
Mm.
right? It means you desire the thing. It's more of an addiction than anything else, or whatever you want to call it. It has nothing to do with love. So yeah, she can have that desire, and if she's functioning correctly with him, and she really likes him and loves him, and she's appreciative and all that kind of stuff, then she'll end up drawing him to her.
Mm.
If she's again complaining and anxious and insecure and fearful and all that, that energy is going to push him away. And so
Mm.
men can feel that.
Mm. Wow. Oh, I think I've run out of questions.
Really?
I had everything written down.
Leslie, I told
Okay,
you
I
about
saw
that.
this thing. I saw this thing the other day. This podcast episode, and it was titled like, how to stop chasing the unavailable man, and get with a man who is devoted to you in marriage, right?
Hmm.
So that's the thing that a lot of women are going through. Like they're in love with the dark masculine man. The
Yes.
dark masculine man, in a lot of cases, tells them, like, look, I don't want to marry you. I don't want to be in a committed relationship with you necessarily.
Right.
Um, and so the narrative in the culture is that, well, if he's not available for marriage, for a monogamous marriage with you, then that relationship is a waste of time. And so you should get with a man who he wants to be your king, he wants to be monogamous, he wants to marry you. Um, he's pursuing you, that kind of thing. And you should just like stop wasting your time with the dark masculine man because he's not going to actually give you what you really want. But the thing is, the women are still yearning for the dark masculine man, even though like technically they will say to your face like, oh, he's no good, he's not committing to me, he's a waste of my time. But like privately they're like, oh, I miss him so much, what do I do, Leslie? So what final words do you have to say for women who are like, they're in love with him, but like they think like, but I want marriage, but he's not agreeing to it. So what do I do? What do you say, Rakim?
Okay. So this is actually a complex question.
Mhm.
If you're in love with a man, um, and let's say it's a womb choice situation and the dark masculine you're talking about, then what I would suggest you do, you you can marry this man, but
Mhm.
you need to be inside your power as a woman.
Mhm.
Okay. If you're not in your power as a woman, then you need to embark on a journey of healing and growth that'll put you inside your power. Once you're inside your power as a woman, then you'll be able to attract and manifest marriage with this man, or at least it'll greatly increase your probability of doing that. Okay. That's a spiritual journey. That's a journey that also requires skills, right? So in my programs, the goddess journey is what allows you to have the power to actually attract him to you and create the scenario. And the queendom program is what allows you to actually have the skills to manage it so that it doesn't fall off the rails, right? So that's one thing. Number two is, you know, I suggest women, any woman who's with a womb choice or dark masculine, I suggest she does some inner work where she looks at, her past traumas and stuff like that, and works on healing those things.
Mhm.
Because even if that's going to be the man for her, there's probably a high likelihood that the way she's relating to him is out of balance. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And she, at the very least, needs to fix that. So you need to fix your unhealthy attachment and codependency to this particular man. So
Mhm.
that's through the trauma work and the inner child work and all that kind of stuff. So we have two things, right? We have, you're on a spiritual journey where you're looking at correcting some things, and then you're doing this inner work, right? The other thing is, if you're looking for marriage, if marriage is your goal, then yeah, you shouldn't be with somebody you don't have the skills to really manifest. So yeah, like, you know, a lot of women they want to be married to Brad Pitt, but you don't have the skills to attract him as a husband and to make him your husband. So yeah, you need to choose somebody else. Part of that's also maturity, like realizing, like, look, you know, I probably have an unhealthy attachment to this person and some healing to do. You know, what I really want is marriage and somebody who loves me and treats me right. And so you go down that journey to make sure you're able to align with that. So that is fine. But like you said, Leslie, the issue is, let's say you do all the healing and you do all that stuff and you want this man, right? Then you just chose him. I mean, that's what the choice paradigm is all about that we talk about. Like when a woman chooses a man, which is mostly involuntary, then that's just what it is. You can't, for women, choosing a man is not a logical process. It's something that, you know, she feels on the inside. You see what I'm saying? It hits her like, oh, this is like a spark or a realization or whatever like that. And so, you know, women, you all are not designed to ignore that part of who you are. And so, yeah, if you've chosen a particular man, you want to be with him, then I suggest you get the skills in order to secure that relationship and that kind of thing. And again, it does take skills. The women that you're talking about, like, they're having a really hard time because they don't have the skills. Again, I've said this repeatedly. The study of human psychology is it's deep and intense. So bringing two complex human beings together to actually be in a relationship and like build together, that's not an easy thing. So you need to have some understanding of the choice paradigm, some understanding of how the masculine moves, how the feminine moves, and some understanding of what your power is as a woman if you want to create something. Most women do not have that understanding, and therefore that's why they hit the brick wall over and over and over again. You just can't manifest something and create something and you don't have the skills. You have a better luck going out and trying to, you know, put a car engine together from scratch. You just don't have the skills to do it. So go out and get the skills to do it. When you have the skills, you'll be able to do it. That's how it works. I know it seems counterintuitive because society tries to tell you that you're entitled to love, you're entitled to romance. That's not true. You're not entitled to anything. You know, marriage is a serious thing. You know what I'm saying? Long-term committed partnership is a serious thing. You're not entitled to it. You know, you can create it, you can manifest it, especially if it's something that you desire, but it takes understanding and skills. And most people just, they don't want to come to terms with that. They want to go the easy route. I want the man to change. I want the man to fall deeply in love with me and just marry me and propose and do all these things. And, you know, that doesn't happen for most women, unfortunately. I'm not saying it never happens. Some women, it does happen because they have that belief within themselves that that's what they're going to have. They have that expectation, like really a core, you know, truth and expectation that that's what's going to happen with them. And for those women, yes, it'll happen for them. But either they were born that way or conditioned that way or did the work to manifest that. If you haven't done the work to manifest that, then it's not going to happen.
Wow, thank you for that answer, Rakim. I know we're past the time. Where can people find you, follow you, and hire you?
Yeah, they can just email me. rakimseku@gmail.com is a great way to just, you know, contact me, or social media. Rakim Seku, RAKHEMSEKU on Instagram. And also have a school, mysteryschool.live, mysteryschool.live, where that's where my classes and courses are. Goddess course, the Queendom course. I'm also doing Kingdom Cipher for Men, teaching men how to build their kingdoms. So that's where you can find me. But, you know, feel free to reach out via email or messenger as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rakim. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Take care.
Bye.